Hi, I'm Erin Rainwater, and welcome back to my channel, where love extends beyond the boundaries of simple romance, and where you can hear recordings of my Civil War novel, True Colors. Today we're in Chapter 3. Last time, we learned how Cassie had to wheedle her way into serving her nation and heroes, bypassing the usual route, to become a nurse in a Union hospital in Alexandria. We heard her lie to her dying patient to ease his passing, and we saw how what she had hoped would be another pleasant encounter with Major Byron turned completely sour and not be resolved by the end of the chapter. Will it ever be? Let's watch and see. Or I should say, let's listen in.
True Colors, Chapter 3. The stars at least were faithful to me that night. They greeted me with well-wishing winks as I left the hospital and accompanied me along the 5-block route to the boarding house. Gas street lamps lit my way, but it was the stars whose friendly lights I gazed upon as I walked, seeing in them the awesomeness of God's craftsmanship. Tonight I needed their gentle reminder that there was still much beauty in the world about me. I rarely passed anyone on my walks home except for an occasional businessman who had kept late hours, or small groups of Federal soldiers out spending what there was of their month's wages. So when just a half-block from my home I noticed 3 soldiers walking toward me, I felt no uneasiness until they spread out and blocked the sidewalk. "Looky what we got here, boys," said the one nearest the building. I slowed my pace and stepped into the street to pass them. The man near the curb, who appeared to be the most inebriated of the bunch, hopped in front of me, removed his hat, and bowed low. "Evenin', miss." He hiccuped and belched. His wide grin revealed few teeth. The 3 seemed innocuous enough, but I was apprehensive nonetheless, and my voice was cool. "Please allow me to pass." The soldier who had been in the middle of the group now stood on the curb looking down on me. "Sure, lady. We'll let you go, soon as you give us one good reason why we should." "I have one very good reason." "Yeah? What might that be?" "I am a government nurse. It's my job to care for the sick and wounded soldiers." "So? So, someday you could get yourself all shot up. You could end up in a hospital, and when you open your eyes, it may be me you see standing over you. I might be holding a cool cloth to wipe your fevered brow, or perhaps a soft, clean bandage to dress your wound." Unaffected, he stepped off the curb and reached toward me. "Or maybe you just might look up to see me passing a shiny, sharp scalpel across you to the surgeon. Why, the shock of recognizing you just might cause my hand to slip and, well, who knows what sort of damage could be inflicted by such a mishap." From whence came such a notion, let alone the imprudence to voice it with such indiscretion, I could not conceive, and instantly lamented it. 2 of the men found it amusing and burst into laughter. "Phew, she's got sand, I'll give her that. I believe she'd really do it, too." The man before me was not laughing. His jaw tensed, his eyes burned into me. "Come on, Sarge, leave her be. We got 3 watering holes we ain't hit yet, and I'm still thirsty." "You 2 go on ahead." His resolute eyes impaled mine. "I'll catch up to you." "Just let her go, Sarge. She didn't do nothing to us." "I said get out of here." His 2 amicable but unconscionable comrades disappeared around the corner. I whirled and ran. He caught me by the arm and pulled me into the cover of darkness next to the brick row houses, slamming me against the wall. A moan escaped as my head struck the wall, stunning me momentarily. "You're about to find out what sort of damage I can inflict." His wet lips pressed against my face, his liquor-laced breath sickening me. The throbbing in my head was deafening. My heart hammered wildly. From behind my attacker came the metal-on-metal screech of a saber gliding from its scabbard. The point of the blade came to rest on the sergeant's right shoulder. Every one of his muscles froze in place. "Remove your hands from the lady soldier, or you'll lose them." His hands opened wide. He took a step back from me. "Miss Golden, are you all right?" Major Byron called over the man's shoulder. When I did not respond right away, he ordered the sergeant to step aside, but the soldier took advantage of the situation and took off running down the block, disappearing into the night. More concerned for me than the escape of my assailant, Major Byron sheathed his saber, came to my side, and repeated his question. "Yes, I'm all right. Just a little dazed." We remained there until my head cleared a bit. "Would it be asking too much to allow me to escort you the rest of the way home?" "It's only another half block." I peered down the empty street where my attacker had run off. "But I'd be much obliged." He let out a sharp whistle, and a sleek black horse emerged from its waiting place and trotted toward us. "Follow, Midnight." He took hold of my elbow, and we started down the street. I glanced back over my shoulder more than once. "You can relax, Miss Golden. You're safe now." This is the first time anything like this has happened since I came here. What a coincidence that you should happen by when you did. "Well, I didn't exactly happen by. I was sort of following you." I stopped short and immediately regretted it. The sudden movement set my head to throbbing again. I pressed my fingers to my temple. "I was concerned about your walking home alone, so I followed you. Is that so vile a crime?" "A side of me thinks it is, and resents being spied upon." I let out a sigh. "But another side of me is very grateful." "Which side am I next to right now?" I smiled and conceded. "My grateful side." He released my arm, slid around behind me as if dancing a cotillion, took hold of my right arm, and drew it through his own. "Why did you do that? Do you want to be on my angry side?" "Most definitely. You see, if I'm on your grateful side, then your angry side could reach across and slug me. This way," he patted my arm, "I'm safe." A tactically sound maneuver, Major." We soon reached the steps of my rooming house. While still at the hospital, I had been desperate to get home. Now I wished I had another 10 miles to go. That is, if Major Byron were to accompany me. I stood a couple of steps above him, not yet wanting to say good night. "Would you truly do that, Miss Golden?" "Do what?" "You know, inflict such a mishap on that soldier." I hoped we were far enough from the street lamp's glow to hide what I could feel were scarlet cheeks. I had never in my life spoken to a man in such bad grace, and it had been overheard by this charming officer. "If you were so close to hear the conversation, Major, what took you so terribly long in getting to me?" "I wasn't all that close. Your voices carried well in this cool air, and when the situation reached the point where it was obvious you could use some assistance, I moved in." "Well, all that matters is that it's over, and again, I'm most grateful to you." He shrugged. "Any man would have done the same." "That oaf's two friends washed their hands of it." "Perhaps I should have said any gentleman, and I can think of a few dozen others who'd have come if they could have." At my inquisitive look, he explained, "The short amount of time I spent at the hospital revealed volumes about you and your charges. If any one of them had known of the trouble you were in and was physically able, he'd have leapt from his cot and been here like a flash of electricity." I smiled at the thought. It was true. "It must be quite flattering to have so many men competing for your affections." I shook my head. "Those men are far from family and home. They look at me, but are really seeing the face of their wife or sweetheart or sister. Simply by virtue of my being there, I am on the receiving end of their endearments. Many come fresh from terrifying, nightmarish experiences. Some lost consciousness, convinced they were dying. So I comfort them, try to soothe their minds as well as their bodies. I listen when they talk about their homes and families and sweethearts, their loneliness and their fears. I pray with them, and flash them a smile when I see they're losing hope. I lowered my eyes. Sometimes I even lie to them. Honesty tempered with mercy is no sin, Miss Golden. He walked with me up the remaining steps to the front door. He put out his hand, and I placed my key in it. After unlocking and opening the door, he returned my key. I glanced into the parlor, where Mrs. Fillmore always left a lamp burning for me, but felt no desire to enter. A whisper passed through his lips. "Love me for love's sake." My heart missed a beat. "What did you say?" "The things you said just now remind me of a Browning sonnet I recently read. I can only remember the first line. If thou must love me, let it be for naught, except for love's sake only. She goes on to say she doesn't want to be loved for her look or her smile or her gentle words or out of pity, but love me for love's sake. It's captivating. I glanced again into the parlor. I must go in now. Thank you again, Major Byron, for your chivalry and your conversation. I profited from both. The pleasure was mine on both counts, Miss Golden. His smile felt like a caress. I stepped inside and started to close the door, but his hand stopped it. What is it, Major? You never answered my question, Miss Golden. Which question was that? Whether you truly would inflict such a mishap. My eyes widened and I sucked in a breath. I slammed the door shut between us, set the bolt, and leaned my back against it. His hearty laughter came through the door as he skipped down the steps, mounted his magnificent horse, and rode off. Just as I drifted to sleep, I was startled into wakefulness. The book! Levitt's book, the one he had given me to keep safe for him, and now lay in the drawer of the nightstand next to my bed. By rights, Major Byron should have it along with Levitt's other effects. How could I not have thought to give it to him? My only excuse was that his wrath of that afternoon and his charm later in the evening had sent any reasoning thoughts elsewhere. How could I get it to him? I had no idea where he lived or worked, and seeking out one military man in Washington City these days would be like looking for the proverbial haystack needle. It hardly seemed worthy of losing any more sleep over. Having briefly leafed through the pages the night before, I knew it was only some sort of manual on rapid railroad track construction for troop movements. Besides, if it held any of the significance Levitt gave it, perhaps the dashing Major Byron would come back looking for it. One could always hope.
Wow, that could have ended badly. And yay for Major Byron coming to the rescue. Isn't that what we were all hoping for? A second chance for him to redeem himself? And he did it in spades, even quoting a romantic love sonnet. But he didn't say anything about wanting to see her again. Will she ever see him again? As she mused, one can always hope. But in the next episode, you'll see that there is another charming officer, one who a friend slyly sets her up with, and who seems quite interested in her, may be more suitable to her life and work. Are you set on Major Byron, though? Comment below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.